We begin with a Fox 10 News alert this morning. A DPS officer was involved in a crash right along the I-17 near Dunlap here. The accident just now clearing, so you can see all is calm. But let's take a look at some video, show you what it did look like not long ago. DPS tells us that a trooper was stopped with emergency lights on, helping a tow truck driver working to tow an abandoned vehicle. Well, the trooper was outside of his vehicle when a driver hit the patrol car, pushing it into the tow truck. The driver was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Thankfully, nobody else was hurt in this. The trooper's safe. DPS believes alcohol may have been a factor in the crash. We'll have much more in a live report coming up later throughout the show.
All right, another Fox 10 News alert that we are following for you on this New Year's Day. Tragedy unfolding in New Orleans this morning where a driver plowed into a crowd celebrating on Bourbon Street last night and then opened fire on officers.
Ron is in the control room with the very latest. Ron.
Yeah, just a scene of death and destruction early this morning in New Orleans. In fact, the mayor of the city speaking out saying it's a terrorist attack. We've learned that 10 people were killed, dozens more hurt. Here's a live look right now coming in from Bourbon Street where it is completely locked down and we're told will be in this status for the rest of this day. But here's some of the video coming in overnight showing a chaotic scene as first responders rushed into that area. New Orleans Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick saying in an update just over an hour ago, it was a driver in a pickup truck that purposely rammed right into the crowd as thousands had gathered to celebrate the new year, and that his actions were, quote, very intentional. It happened about 3 a.m. New Orleans time. After ramming into the crowd and killing as many people as he could, the superintendent says that driver then opened fire on responding police. Take a listen.
What I also can tell you is that this man, this perpetrator, he fired on our officers from his vehicle when he crashed his vehicle. 2 of our officers have been shot. They are stable.
So the incident came right toward the end of the New Year's Eve celebrations. Obviously, midnight would be kind of the peak, and the crowd was starting to filter out. Of course, it is also hours before the kickoff of the All-State Sugar Bowl, a college football quarterfinal held in the Superdome with tens of thousands expected to be in attendance there. It's obviously now a day of real sadness in New Orleans. Police are saying that they'll do everything they can to make sure the crowd stays safe, and they have plenty of security measures inside the dome. So again, a driver plowing into a crowd on New Orleans Bourbon Street in the early morning hours, 10 confirmed dead. Others injured at last count, close to 35. The extent of those injuries still has not been released, but we'll follow the latest as it comes in. Yeah. Guys.
Horrible way to start 2025 with this horrible tragedy in New Orleans. Ron, we appreciate the update.
Okay.
All right, back here in the valley, a serious crash shutting down part of the I-10 westbound through the overnight hours. It happened right near 75th Avenue. Details are still limited, but DPS did confirm this was a serious collision with an unknown amount of injuries. Our photojournalists on scene did see several people being transported to the hospital, several vehicles also badly damaged in this multi-vehicle crash. Once we get additional details, we of course will pass that along to you.
And also developing this morning, a house fire under investigation, this time in the South Valley here. This was the scene just after 1 this morning near 33rd Avenue and Dobbins. Phoenix Fire says the fire started on the roof and it extended into the garage. Crews were able to put out the flames before it spread to the rest of the house. We're told nobody was home at the time of the fire and that there are no injuries to report. Investigators are working to determine what started the fire.
Well, 2025 is officially here, and many across the valley planning to get outside for a hike. Maybe they're starting their resolutions a little early this morning.
Right, they want to start strong. But for those getting an early start, they'll be dealing with really poor air quality. Irene is live at Camelback Mountain. Irene, you've been out there for about an hour or so at least. How's it looking?
Well, hey, good morning, guys. There definitely have been plenty of hikers out here this morning. You can take a look and see. Maybe you can see that haze a little bit. I know it's kind of hard to see through the camera, and especially in the early morning hours like this, just starting to get a little bit, well, the sun's not up yet, but you can see a little bit of light. Maybe you can see some of that haze that's here left over from the fireworks. But plenty of people, that has not stopped plenty of people from coming out today. Hikers out here on Echo Canyon Trail right now at Camelback Mountain. So not only is the haze here, it's also a little bit chilly this morning, but we've seen some people come out here at 6 a.m. Some people said they started a little bit earlier than that. Some coming out in groups, others just families, other people single coming out here. And they say it's part of a New Year's tradition, something they like to do, and they weren't about to let a little bit of haze stop them. You can smell it in the air too, but really they said it's not nearly anything that would have had them second guess their New Year's tradition. So take a listen to what they had to say about why this tradition is so special to them.
Being active is really important for us, being out, and whether it's running or hiking, just being in nature, it's a really important part of just what we do as a family.
We can see it's hazy, but doesn't stop us. So.
All right, yeah, definitely plenty of people that are out here this morning eager to enjoy Camelback Mountain. So we'll send it back to you guys for now, but excitement here, just starting the new year off on the right foot in 2025. We'll send it back to you.
All right. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Start strong.
There you go.
All right, Irene, thank you. New Year's celebrations popping off all over the valley
Look
at midnight. Keeping Ty Brennan up a little bit, you guys. And check it out. We captured the show from so many of you. This is from our South Mountain Tower camera. This is what it looked like right at midnight there when the clock struck.
I think I can see my neighbor's house with all of those fireworks going on.
Fireworks as far as the eye can see, for sure.
Well, let's take you live now for a wider look from that South Mountain Tower cam. We've been talking about it, and maybe you've already been up to let the dog out, maybe go for an early walk. It is nasty out there. We've got haze.
What's left over.
This is what's left over from all those fireworks shows. A lot of people have those New Year's Eve fires in their chimneys as well, so this is going to add to an air quality alert today. And Crystal, you're kind of breaking this down for us because it is nasty out there.
Yeah.
There's no other word for it.
Yeah, there really isn't. And unfortunately, this happens every year. We see our worst air quality during the New Year's Eve celebration. So I'm going to step off so you can kind of take in the full breath of all these different traffic cameras, because they really show off how hazy it is down at the ground. I mean, you can see, look at that 67th Ave I-10 camera in the top left of your screen. Barely can see through the cam. Same thing for the 202 Van Buren. And then we're looking out on that Val Vista cam at 60, just a haze along the horizon. No surprise when we look at the Maricopa County air quality map that we see many locations. These are current sensors that are reporting, say in the South Phoenix area, say outside of Glendale, in that very unhealthy to hazardous level. Yeah, not good. This happens again, pretty typical every year for New Year's because of all the fireworks you just saw from that tower cam. There were a lot that got shot off overnight. So this is the forecast for today. Very unhealthy conditions for Maricopa County, parts of Pinal, Gila, and Yavapai County as well. Now, I will say this is more for the first half of the day. If you look hourly, through 9-10 in the morning is going to be the worst of it, and then it'll slowly start to improve past lunchtime. Might see some issues again tonight as folks decide to light off more fireworks, but that would be late tonight. I know, please don't do any more fireworks. We all want to sleep. Please, I'm begging you. But here's what is actually happening. It's kind of interesting, the science behind why we get this issue every year, and it has to do with the colder air this time of year and the valley setting. Now, under normal conditions, air cools from the ground, it lifts, and it gets cooler as it rises. That's the normal. That's how it usually works. But when we have something called an inversion layer, which is very typical for us during the winter season, you get this little area of warm air that sits above the ground, up in the atmosphere. That warm air acts as a lid. It taps down on smoke, pollution. So if you got a lot of smoke like we had overnight, it's all stuck, keeping stagnant conditions. Add in the fact that we have that valley mountain bowl effect, and yeah, it's all just stuck down at the surface, guys. So this inversion is to blame for our nasty air conditions. The good news is, as we start to warm up later today, it all should start to lift and clear out. Guys.
What a great explainer there. But you're right.
So incredible.
Yeah, not the best, but we're used to it each New Year's.
That is very true.
But let's not continue tonight.
Yeah, maybe put a lid on the fireworks.
Yeah, end it. All right.
7-Eleven, and getting back to the big New Year's celebrations happening all over the world, including the one so many tune in and watch from home every single year. Take a look.
Well, there you have it. The Big Apple ringing in 2025 with the annual ball drop there. New York City expected more than 1 million people to enjoy the festivities in Times Square, and it's an event that lived it up to that, certainly. Millions more all over the world tuned in to watch as well from at home, and, you know, when the ball drops, it's time to smooch, too.
Oh, is that what happens?
Yeah,
oh,
we caught a couple of those on camera.
Did you see how it was so rainy in New York City last night as well?
It was a wet one.
So I was worried that confetti was just going to come down in like a
just stick to their faces.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I'm sure some folks brought some home with them.
Yeah, right. Well, New Year's celebrations are so nice. Some people got to enjoy them twice. Take a look at this. This is interesting. Hundreds of people on a flight from Los Angeles, or bound for Los Angeles rather, celebrating for a second time. Their plane took off from Hong Kong right after the clock struck midnight into 2025. The flight then crossed over the international date line on its way to LA. It arrived around 10 p.m. local time, which means they got to celebrate the new year for a second time. How cool is that, right?
Yeah, that would be incredible. And I'm sure some folks plan the trip that way.
Yeah, right? So they can do a double celebration.
Yeah.